Ferret on Colin's side and the Alolan Ninetales on Inadequance side.
This is a good lead for Inadequance. Remember that the fairy typing of the Alolan Ninetales means that it resists the sucker punches from this Ferret, but Colin is opting to stay in because he's actually played soft to the Alolan Ninetales. You can see the Univan Stunfisk in the back.
I wonder if Inadequance knows, like, okay, Colin6ix is staying in here with his Ferret, knowing that Ninetales has a better matchup here. Is something else weak to my Ice typing in the back?
And it looks like Corviknight in the back for Colin could be advantageous, so it really depends on how much value Inadequance is able to get out of this lead matchup to try and suppress the utility of Corviknight later in this game.
Here comes another Swift on Colin's side. Alolan Ninetales can easily take this, and overloading on the Ninetales side. He's gonna throw a Weather Ball. He's gonna throw a Weather Ball on Ferret, and Colin lets us go. The Alolan Ninetales has some energy, and I assume Inadequance will probably swap out this matchup and maybe into his safer stop as Ferret and keep his energy on Alolan Ninetales. But he has to go to the Empoleon, and while the Colin6ix go to the Stunfisk.
And now this is really good for Colin6ix because the Univan Stunfisk is able to take a Hydro Cannon from the Empoleon. It is locked in. He's going to shield it anyway. He knows that there's maybe more value that he can get out of Univan Stunfisk before he starts to take damage. And now the super effective Thunder Shocks and Mud Bombs will start to put pressure on Inadequance's Empoleon. No shield going up for the first one.
Even though do both super effective damage to each other, Stunfisk is way more bulky and also resisting the Metal Assaults. Here comes another Hydro Cannon from Inadequance's side.
Do you shield this as well?
Stunfisk can actually hold on to this, but maybe he wants to and keeping this as healthy as possible, and he does.
That's probably not what Inadequance wanted to see, but he does nod, so maybe he does have a plan for this. Remember that there is Trailblaze super effective available on Ferret, and there's also an attack on that Alolan Ninetales banked, which will be super effective as well. I wonder at what point does Colin consider going back into his Corviknight to maybe sponge some of the energy from this Ferret?
Yeah, I wonder where Inadequance is going to put up his shields. He's going to shield up all the Mud Bombs here. No, he's going to shield one Mud Bomb earlier, and now he's going to let this one go. Probably trying to keep his Ferret as healthy as possible, potentially Trailblazing, getting as much boost potential outputs, and he catches a Trailblaze on Corviknight! What a tremendous catch! Double resist on the Corviknight!
That is a great catch, but perhaps it's what Inadequance would have thrown anyway as he tries to increase the Sucker Punch damage from this Ferret. He still has a shield available. Air Cutter's not going to be enough to threaten one of them, and these Swifts pace really quickly and will start to add up. And as we say, the Alolan Ninetales has a Weather Ball bank that will do a lot of damage to the Univan Stunfisk, and as this Corviknight gets low, it will also put pressure on that Pokemon too.
There's no way, right, Free, that Ferret actually gonna steal the show again, doing a lot of non-super effective charge moves on these Pokemon, but still boosting itself up, getting Sucker Punch damage after Sucker Punch. Is Air Cutter gonna land? No, not gonna land. We see another Swift coming in here from Inadequance, which will not do enough damage to take down this Corviknight, but keep in mind, this Ferret is boosted.
The Alolan Ninetale still available there, and now the Corviknight reaches that payback, and it looks like the Alolan Ninetales might be able to just farm down the Corviknight. Will one Weather Ball be enough to take out the Stunfisk? I wouldn't be surprised if Stunfisk comes straight back out here. It's got some energy. How much damage is this going to do? Stunfisk is very bulky. This might not be enough.
I don't think this is enough, Free. I don't think it's enough to take down the Stunfisk. Stunfisk is very close on the move, but so is Alolan Ninetales. It's going to be a race. Oh, and the Stunfisk gets to the Mud Bomb first, and there goes the Alolan Ninetales of Inadequance.
ABA weak to the Alolan Ninetales, but Colin does not care. So much value that he was able to get out of the Univan Stunfisk and out of that Corviknight, and what it really came down to was recognizing that Hydro Cannon from the Empoleon would do the most damage to Univan Stunfisk, and he refused to let one of those land.
That was a great game for it. I love that game. Knowing, like, okay, even though Inadequance double shielded, they had two shields, and Colin used already two shields so early, trying to get really far with that Ferret was not enough. They had the Corviknight resisting all the charge moves on that from that Ferret on the Corviknight. I mean, great showcasing by Colin6ix there.
He gets the advantage in these winners finals, but as we say, this is a best of 5. That means you need 3 wins in order to progress forward to the grand finals. There is so much opportunity for Inadequance to still come back. If anything, we have seen time and time again players going 2 games up and still losing 3 games to 2. So a little bit of momentum for Colin6ix, but by absolutely no means does he have any real advantage now.
Both trainers seem to be very locked in. Colin6ix, knowing that I can be AB weak to the Alolan Ninetales, knowing Ferret can hold on, the Swift do enough damage. If I lose this soft lose this matchup, I'm fine actually, because Alolan Ninetales will be so low that my Stunfisk in the back will be free.
Both of these players considering again how to approach things very, very flexibly, especially on Colin's side. We know that he likes neutrality, he likes energy management, he doesn't like being locked into what many people call RPS matchups, rock, paper, scissors, where there is no opportunity if you don't get the lead you want. Martijn, he is a little bit more aggressive in his playstyle. He likes to potentially lock opponents into really unfavorable matchups, and he brings certain core breakers in order to do so. Can he get the right read here? We know that he's been able to get into the head of so many opponents in the past. Game number 2 underway.
We have Inadequance with the Ferret met by the Scissor of Colin, and we know how this matchup goes. Ferret is okay here. It's a very neutral matchup, even though the charge moves are resisted. Still, the sucker punches add up and do a lot of damage on that Scissor.
Immediately, both players go to throw their attack. Night Slash from Colin, and a Swift was being clicked there from Inadequance. Swift, remember, will be resisted by Shadow Sizzle, but it's such a fragile Pokemon that Ferret can actually take the Zero Shield scenario even despite that.
We don't see a boost on a Night Slash, and I think Inadequance is very happy to see that Scissor there, not in his alone Ninetales in the back. But here comes the Ferret of Colin6ix, playing a very neutral matchup. Like, it is a very neutral, throwing Swift back to Swift. And they're probably gonna soak the energy and knowing that, okay, well, I probably need my Scissor still because there might be a lone Ninetales in the back. And here comes the lone Ninetales of Inadequance into the Ferret of Colin6ix.
This is really, really good for Colin because the Alolan Ninetales comes out early, meaning it's not going to hit that Altaria. Colin6ix playing a really sensible ABB. We mentioned he likes neutrality. We mentioned that he likes safe plays, and this is exactly where he wants to see the Alolan Ninetales. He doesn't know that there's a Gastrodon in the back, and Inadequance doesn't know that there's an Altaria available for Colin.
Here, Alolan Ninetales overloading energy, getting back-to-back Weather Balls. Gonna show the first one. Will Colin6ix probably shield? No, he doesn't. He does exactly know that there are 2 Weather Balls available on Inadequance side. And let's see what Colin6ix is gonna do. He brings on his Scissor and actually on Inadequance up to throw the Weather Ball immediately, knowing that, okay, I don't want to take any bullet punches, and this Weather Ball might be enough to take out.
It doesn't take out, which means that bullet punch landed. That did a massive amount of damage, and Inadequance knows this is not the alignment that he wanted. Altaria comes through, and Gastrodon is forced to mud slap away. I think Inadequance recognizes that there's not a lot he can do. He's not going to waste any time. He's allowing this Sky Attack to land.
What amazing dancing skills from Colin6ix here, dancing left and right. He's going to let it go, knowing, okay, well, there's not much I can do here. The second Sky Attack comes through onto the Gastrodon, taking down, most likely knowing that, okay, I'm defeated here, there's not much I can do. But what amazing skills by Colin6ix, dancing, trying to bait out the lone Ninetales early, get the Scissor on it, and then the Altaria on the Gastrodon was just riding on the wall.
Honestly, that Alolan Ninetales managed to put in a lot of work before it was able to be Dragon Breath down. I wonder if Martijn had started to spam body slams. Maybe there could have been an opportunity, but he's willing to concede this game. Number 2, Colin dominant there. He got the alignment he wanted. He successfully baited out that Alolan Ninetales, and now he has a real advantage in this best of 5 series, because one more win will see him put his face and his name in the Grand Finals.
Another potential Grand Finals for Colin6ix here. Inadequance thinking, maybe re-strategizing what he should be doing. This is, I mean, another, again, in the leads, further in the back. We see a lot of furthers this weekend, but Colin6ix knew exactly what to do.
Colin6ix needs one more win. Inadequance on the other side of the table has to claw it back, and we know if there's any player that can do so, it could well be him. He's been in situations like this before, back against the wall. We've seen it when he's been doing incredible losers bracket runs, and one thing that you and I said yesterday is what matters more in these situations? Is it skill or is it mentality? Inadequance is a player that absolutely has both in abundance. Can he show what he needs to get his name into the Grand Finals instead of Colin6ix?
Maybe what we need from Inadequance is his trusty Pokemon, Shadow Giratina, to potentially able to beat the final boss, Colin6ix. Inadequance already locked in. Colin6ix still thinking of what should I run, what should I adjust, should I pick the same Pokemon I used before. Colin6ix likes to change teams quite often, doesn't like to use the same strategy over and over, making sure that he is not predictable.
Colin6ix eyeing up his opponent dressed as a Team Galactic leader, and Colin's doing everything he can to remind the world that perhaps Colin is not the final boss. Perhaps this is the moment, this is the weekend that he is the protagonist, that this is his story. Can he do what he needs to take down Inadequance, put himself in the grand finals and in a fantastic position to take gold here in Stuttgart? The players are ready, they are locked in for game number 3.
And we see the Ninetales of Inadequance into the Spine-Ups of Colin6ix. We see the Spine-Ups, Farid, the Spine-Ups!
And Inadequance, he has a wry expression. Perhaps he's not even sure how he wants to play out this matchup, but we do see an Empoleon there. If that is able to catch an attack, it would be resisted. He comes in with the Empoleon, and looks like Colin is going to bank all of that energy and come in with the Furret instead.
That energy is really scary from the Spine-Ups, knowing that Inadequance has a Talonflame in the back. That Rock Tomb will one-shot that Talonflame so easily, but very a lot of patience from Colin6ix. Are great, showing great patience, keeping all that energy, not throwing anything into the Empoleon.
Everything now depends on whether Colin shields the next Hydro Cannon, because if he does, he can ensure that Shadow Sizzle does not align onto that Talonflame. A shield here could completely change the game. If he no-shields it, Colin will really struggle with that Shadow Sizzle.
We do know the Spine-Ups has a lot of energy, so maybe this energy will be very useful against the backline of Inadequance, knowing we have a Rock Tomb loaded for Talonflame and potentially the Ninetales, but Ninetales chose a Weather Ball first, Spine-Ups losing the charge deck priority, but it was a charge deck priority, so the Rock Tomb will come after, and it shields up the first Weather Ball, knowing that it will do the more damage than the second one since it's not debuffed yet.
But this is almost a waste of all of this damage and energy, because Shadow Sizzle could have bullet punched down the Alolan Ninetales anyway. I think as soon as this Shadow Talonflame comes in, Colin will know that it's a tricky situation. He's going to start baiting lunges. They're a little bit cheaper. They guarantee was Inadequance counting. He makes an expression, but he shields up anyway just in case, and he knows that Colin is able to pull an easy shield. The problem here is that Colin isn't going to be able to reach 2 attacks, and I think Colin recognizes that Shadow Sizzle could be in trouble, but he's not going to give that away yet. He's going to try and get this next shield, and now he has to go into the Shadow Sizzle, and Inadequance knows that there is real potential. How much will a Night Slash do?
Oh, the Night Slash will connect on the Talonflame. Will this be enough? I don't know if it's gonna be enough. Inadequance is looking like, I know my matchup. I know we're gonna survive this time. And he survives with a slit of HP and gets a farm down and gets a double flame charge for the Spine-Ups.
Colin's going to let this go because the Alolan Ninetales still has enough health in the back, and Inadequance gets 1 game back. It was brilliantly played by the Shadow Talonflame expert, and that game could have gone so differently if Colin had shielded the Empoleon Hydro Cannon.
Yeah, if he knew what we knew, obviously, and the viewers knew, then if he shielded, then I mean, it would have been a different outcome potentially. But Inadequance showing how to use the Talonflame. He is so good with Incinerate, Farid. He actually practiced a lot with Incinerate seasons and seasons ago, trying to perfect, because Incinerate is the only 5-turn fast move in this game.
Incinerate is such a powerful attack, made even more powerful by the Shadow variant of Talonflame. And honestly, Colin was in a tricky position because as soon as you give up a shield, even if he had shielded the Empoleon's Hydro Cannon, you are giving an advantage to the Shadow Talonflame to start ramping through. And Colin honestly was a little bit weak to that Shadow Talonflame. Spine-Ups in the lead and Shadow Sizzle in the back meant Shadow Talonflame had so much play. And even though Colin looked like he had the advantage to start with, Inadequance was able to close it out.
Farid, you know Colin6ix really well. How does he remain so calm? He looks so calm on stage. They're like, okay, I'm just gonna lay back, play my game. He doesn't look stressy at all.
Colin6ix is one of the most composed players that I've ever met. Colin, as a person, is one of the most composed people that I have ever met, and we talk about skill and mentality, and honestly, we give Inadequance a lot of credit for those. Colin has those qualities in abundance as well. He displays them very differently. He is a lot more humble.
Oh, okay.
But he has absolutely everything that it needs to go through in the Stuttgart finals. Inadequance is going to come in with confidence instead. He's found the lead that he wants, and he gives out a smile. Colin with 1 bullet punch before he comes in with the Furret to be met by that Alolan Ninetales. Baited out perhaps as Stunfisk is in the back, but we know that there's a Furret in the back for Inadequance. So right now, based on alignment alone, Inadequance is in an absolutely fantastic position in this game number 4.
Inadequance being very happy, seeing that Scissor Scizor not being so happy, doesn't want to take a single Incinerate. Did a Bullet Punch before he swapped out, so he made sure it doesn't take that Incinerate, getting a little bit of energy. But now the first Weather Ball comes through on the third. Third comfortably survives this. Here comes a Swift on the third. Also, Alolan Ninetales comfortably survives because he cannot Sucker Punch it down. And though Alolan Ninetales has the opportunity to overload a little bit of energy and outpaces the third.
Alolan Ninetales putting in amazing work here, not just taking out the Ferret, but also getting so much energy to bank another attack for the next Pokemon that comes in. And I think Colin's going to be in a really tricky position here. It's not actually going to be able to throw that next Weather Ball because Talonflame is going to meet the Sizzle that Bullet Punched it down, and Stunfisk immediately met by a Ferret. So we know straight away that Inadequance is in a really good position here, especially if he can land a super effective Trailblaze.
We see Stunfisk on fire right now. Stunfisk has to do so much work here. First of all, he has to take down this little Ferret, and then he has to also take down Talonflame because, I mean, the Scizor is never gonna Bullet Punch down a Talonflame. Maybe doesn't even get to a move because one Incinerate is almost enough to knock out that Scizor.
I think Colin is doing anything he can, but Inadequance knows that there's almost no way that he can lose this game now. Ferret is putting in a ton of work, and as soon as Shadow Talonflame has an energy advantage, it can incinerate through the Univern Stunfisk anyway.
This is looking dire for Colin. Here comes another Trailblaze. Colin puts up the shield, knowing that only Wincon right here is using that Stunfisk, but Inadequance has 2 shields for Reed. Here comes a Discharge, potentially throwing Discharge, maybe thinking like, oh, maybe if Inadequance tries to catch on the Talonflame, that I don't throw a Mob Bomb except through a Discharge, but this Talonflame will go rampant. The Incinerators do so much damage. It also has Flame Charge and 2 shields. I think the strat here for Inadequance is to double shield Talonflame, potentially farm down the Stunfisk and close his game.
I think he might even just throw a Flame Charge straight away, or after another Incinerate. He's actually going to do exactly as you said, and the Sizzle comes in. Look how much damage it's taking, and now Inadequance has 2 Flame Charges back to back, meaning he can safely shield this Night Slash and then double throw into that Univern Stunfisk to seal out this game number 4.
Inadequance is the Talonflame master confirmed. He's so good with Talonflame, Chad. He knows how to use Incinerate so well. He went a favorable lead with that Scizor, but still, he pulled it off. And the Stunfisk is out, and it's 2-2. And we need one more game for it, one more game, Chad, to see who's gonna go through.
I'm almost trying to take a breath. What incredible plays by Inadequance. We said if there were any player that might be able to claw it back, he is absolutely one of them. And now both of these players have to go into this final game of the best of 5 with everything they have got. It will put a massive advantage under their name if they can be on the winner's side of the bracket going into the grand finals, and it'd be such a massive momentum shift for them if they really want to get their hands on gold.
Even though Colin6ix was ahead by 2 wins, 2-0, and Inadequance still managed to make it even, come back 2-2, and we still need a 5th game to decide who's gonna win this matchup. I wonder if we're gonna see the Spite-Ups again from Colin. Risky pick, knowing that Inadequance brought Talonflame twice in a row now, but Inadequance is so good with a Talonflame, I don't know about that one.
The tricky thing is, it's the combination of the Talonflame and the Alolan Ninetales. Shadow Sizzle is just so good against Alolan Ninetales, but instantly loses the game, it seems, if against that Shadow Talonflame. And so Martine is able to call those 2 Pokemon together, and Colin has to think, how can I avoid facing the Shadow Talonflame and still get advantage from my more flexible picks, like Ferret? Because we've seen again, Alolan Ninetales just so comfortable against the Sucker Punch user.
Like we've said yesterday all day long, Farid, Scizor has only one weakness, and that is fire, and it's a double weakness. He doesn't like to take any fire damage at all. Incinerate does so much damage. 2 Incinerates actually enough to take down the Scizor. So I wonder if we're going to see another Scizor gameplay from Colin6ix, knowing that I don't want to see that the Talonflame. But here we go, Chad. The last game of this best of 5 is the third of Inadequance into the Empoleon.
Okay, Colin doesn't meet the Alolan Ninetales lead, so this is a good situation for that Ferret. We're looking at that backline immediately, and we can see Univern Stunfisk and Corviknight. If Colin can get alignment, he'll be in a great position. Inadequance Inadequance will do everything he can to ensure the Talonflame lands where he needs it to. Colin already putting up a shield against this Ferret. Could that be an indication of how he wants to play out this lead matchup?
This alone, Ninetales from Inadequance looks kind of scary, knowing that there's Stunfisk in the back for Colin, and also Corviknight. Spammy Weather Balls from that alone Ninetales is something you don't want to take. And here comes the second Hydro Cannon from Inadequance. I assume Colin6ix is not going to shield this, knowing that he easily tanks this and survives this, and most likely going to try to farm down his Empoleon and keep alignments.
Okay, so we know that Colin's going to have alignment, but he's not going to have shield parity. He's already given one to preserve the Ferret, and now he gets to throw a boosted Swift into this Alolan Ninetales. It's unlikely to be met by a Univan Stunfisk, so this chip damage is really valuable, as remember that Corviknight's only neutral attack into that Alolan Ninetales is Air Cutter, not a very hard-hitting attack. As soon as the Corviknight comes in, Talonflame is going to meet it, and now Colin meets it with that Univan Stunfisk. The problem is that Talonflame with 2 shields and Flame Charge Incinerate potentially can just bully its way through this matchup.
I don't think this is so bad for a Talonflame, Farid. And then Talonflame having access to Flame Charge, boosting it, Incinerate. He lets the first one go because the second one will obviously do more damage. But this Stunfisk has to do so much heavy lifting. Here comes the first discharge of Inadequance, and Inadequance most likely to put up the shield, knowing that, okay, hold on, my Talonflame is going to win the game for me?
I think it just might, because Talonflame's going to get so much energy. He's actually going to throw immediately so that he doesn't have to shield. And now Colin needs to think, if I no-shield this, then Corviknight will struggle to take Talonflame out. So I want to drag the next shield away. He's going to throw this discharge now. Pulls the next shield. Incinerate should be enough to take down the Stunfisk. So Colin might go straight into the Corviknight regardless. It looks like the Univan Stunfisk goes down. And now, can you reach? He's not even going to bother. He's going to throw a fly instead. But how much health and how much energy is on that Alolan Ninetales? Alolan Ninetales might be able to close it out here.
Alolan Ninetales has so much energy for it. Corviknight has to do so many things here. So first take down this Talonflame, and then take down the Alolan Ninetales. But he can't jump Phoenix.
I think Colin knows that
the Talonflame is out. Oh, there's a Weather Ball. There's going to be 2 Weather Balls reach on Inadequance side. And I think the Inadequance is going to win. He knows, Chad. He knows. He's nodding. He's looking at Colin6ix. He's talking to Colin6ix, knowing, I got you, little bro. I got you.
2 games up, not enough. Inadequance claws every game back. He said to me at the beginning of today, I will win this tournament. And he is able to put his money where his mouth is, because Inadequance wins and progresses through to the grand finals here in Stuttgart.
Inadequance is so humble, man. He knows how to play these Pokemon. Incinerate from Talonflame goes wicked, and also a great showcasing of that Alolan Ninetales. From 2-0 down, winning back to back, Farid.
Absolutely scintillating, incredible, mesmerizing play from Inadequance. He has been here time and time again, and it looks like Stuttgart might just be routine at